At a close observation of the economic state of Nigeria today, it will be to one's imagination how goods and services are being produced amidst the current economic challenges. But one thing is certain, manufacturers are bearing the brunt of the heat. They decry the high cost of production as well as other challenges bedeviling the sector.
Nigeria, with a population of more than 260 million people, is arguably the biggest market in Africa and ought to be a strong market for its manufacturing sector. When the West African sub-region and other African markets are added, then there is a huge market for whatever quality products and services from Nigeria. Unfortunately, this has not been the case. The manufacturing sector has been operating under a very unfavorable environment, but has a track record and even greater potential to generate mass employment and power the growth of small and medium enterprises. According to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's manufacturing sector contribution to the GDP in the first quarter of 2022 was 10.20%, higher than other sectors like oil and gas, which contributed 6.63%. At the end of the first half of 2019, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria estimated that cumulatively, an estimated 1.64 million jobs had been created by the sector over time. Part of the challenges facing the sector is the persistent unavailability of gas supply for day-to-day operation. For manufacturers who are unable to procure alternative fuel sources, they have come to a painful but inevitable conclusion to shut down. Director General of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Segun Ajayi Kadiri, revealed that in the last 13 months, more than 450 manufacturers, as well as the small and medium-scale industrialists, have suspended operations. He also revealed that they have not received up to 5% of their forest demand from CBN.
But COVID-19 brought everyone crumbling down. But we had expected that with the resurgence of, with the relative improvement in international logistics and government's avowed commitment to improving infrastructure and supporting manufacturing, that we are going to see a resolution of the familiar, what I would call the familiar challenges. You have mentioned infrastructure, chief among which is power and the ports, as well as the roads. We had assumed that government's commitment to obviating those challenges will yield positive results, which we have not seen. And in the midst of all this, we have had insecurity, being escalated in terms of how they impact on manufacturing business. In the Northeast, most of our industries are yet to go back, even in the face of relative success that is being achieved in pushing back the insurgents and bringing back peace to those communities. The manufacturing sector has taken a lot of beat back from that department in terms of production and even in terms of sales. You will recall that those areas also link us with other parts of the country where we have succeeded to get our products passed to other neighboring West African countries. But that has since slowed down in view of the insecurity. So what I would say is that we are being affected from so many angles, and it will appear that except we have a rethink of how we support manufacturing, we might not be able to see better days ahead. There has also been assertions that we have been supported in terms of forex allocation. We have continued to furnish the CBN with the demand of our members and how much of it they have been able to secure and how much is left. If I may just give a conservative average, we've never had up to 5%. We've not received up to 5% of what we have asked from, in terms of our forex needs. And what do we need the forex for? Is to import our raw materials, our spare parts, and our machines.
Nigeria's inflation rate has surged from 70-year high in July to 20.5% in August, the highest since September 2005. This means that every month, Nigerians have watched their income lose its purchasing power, yet are unable to afford the same quantity of commodities as they used to, while manufacturers are forced to switch to less expensive alternative sources to produce. Kelvin Ezugo, a Yaba College of Technology graduate of Fine and Applied Arts, delved into shoemaking after many years of job hunting. It's been 5 years of running the business that sustains him and his family. He has also been able to impact on and train young people after close hours or during holidays. Kelvin laments that production is getting tougher by the day due to high cost of raw materials and other challenges.
After school, we're actually looking for something to do. We searched for a job, there was no job, and I thought inside of me there was something I could do aside doing other businesses. And out of the box, shoe came up. So I started making shoes. Professionally, I started 2017. Business then and now, they are far, far different from each other, because 2017 there are some certain things that we could do for certain amounts because those things were not high. That is, the cost of materials were not high. So you're able to do, if you're making a slippers for instance, that will cost you maybe 2,000, 3,000. Then now it's like times 3 of what you're buying in the market. So it hasn't been funny, and people want you to still sell at the same price that you started with compared to the present day. And it has not been easy. Okay, I went to the market to purchase this. It's just like waking up in the morning, or like a previous day, you bought this for 1,000 naira. Going the next day to get it, and they'll tell you it's 1,500. So even for the polish, the little ones that we buy, from the polish, the toucher and all that, from all those ones, you buy them in the market. Going back to restock your stuffs, you would end up using both your profits and your capital. Gallon of gum, there's an amount we buy them before. You can just go tomorrow and you see that 200 has been added to it. Probably it's the 200 that you're supposed to use for transport going back. But you don't have a choice, you need to cut it into 2, then buy half of it, which will not even be enough for your work. So those challenges are things that we are facing. And in the market, when they say they want to sell this thing, there's this unity amongst them. If they say this is what they want to sell and this is the amount they want to sell it, overnight they'll just tell you, when you come to the wood that we are buying, they'll just tell us this is the amount they are selling it. So if you go to other shops, that's still the same price you will get it from the market. So most times we put our money into this, and most times we would have collected money from customers because we know the actual price we're buying it. Going back maybe a week after, you might not meet it for the same amount again, and you cannot refund the money back. So those are the crosses that we carry on our own that most of the end users, those that are coming to buy from us, don't know. So if we try to inflate the price a bit, they will say your stuffs are too high. Most of the times, I will be walking and I will run out of fuel, and there will be lights. It pains me that sometimes you go to the filling station and they've closed. So I will have to suspend the job for the next day. If it's an urgent job, I have to quickly go to a friend's place who probably stays in the shop or who will be at the shop at that particular hour of the night to do one or two things. So it affected me, it has been affecting me in so many ways.
We spoke to another manufacturer, Usman Imana, the CEO of Friska Farms Limited. The story is the same. Usman wonders why the manufacturing sector is not being taken seriously by the government despite its huge contribution to the nation's GDP.
Doing business in Nigeria, they say there's ease, but most manufacturers that I know, what we see is unease. There's really no ease from where I sit. It's more of unease. It's like a suicide mission. You tell anybody that you want to start manufacturing in Nigeria today, they'll ask you if you are crazy, because there are so many uncertainties, right? There are so many uncertainties. So many factors are working against you, right? First is you have the uncertainty of FX, right? So if there's any of your inputs that you are bringing into the country, foreign exchange will kill that. Just even the valuation of your business. If you are doing a valuation of your business in dollars, if you make 100 million naira this year, and let's say $100 million is 10,000, 100 million naira is $10,000, just for illustration. By next year, your revenue in terms of your financials would have dropped because the value of the naira has dropped. That's one way it kills you. Then you now come to the country where if you're getting your raw materials from farms, insecurity has pushed farmers away from farming. So raw materials are expensive. It's very difficult to get them, they're expensive. When you get them to move them to your factory, because of the cost of diesel and the road and the insecurity on the roads, the bad roads, the price increases. Then you get to your factory, we virtually work on diesel. Because ideally, your generator should be your backup, and then you should have power from the grid. But it's the other way around. The generator is the main source of power, and the grid is the backup if there's light. So you find yourself spending more on power. If you look at your costs, you see that raw material cost has increased, power costs has increased, and if you have competing products coming into the country where they have good factors of production, you find that as a Nigerian, your products are even better priced than the foreign products.
One of Kelvin Ezugo's apprentices, Alao Boluwatife, a 13-year-old JSS2 student of MCO Secondary School, Ifako Ijayi, Lagos, decided rather than play away his time during holidays to acquire shoemaking skills. He told us he would like to become a medical doctor, but the economic situation of the country prompted him to make alternative plans in case there is no job after school.
My grandma just talked to me almost all the time that it's not easy to get work. Even the people that have all their certificates, some of them are just picking carton up and down. So I tell her that I wish to learn on work, and since there is shoemaker work here, so let me just learn this one. And after this, I will go and learn another work to add more to my work, since our country is not well prepared, it's not well balanced. It just takes me for 2 days because I'm not the owner of the shop. So I have to give my boss his own time. When he's working, I will stand with him, work, anything he wants to do, I'll work with him. But if he's not around or he's less busy, I'll just go. Like yesterday, I was doing it when he was not around. And when he came, I stand up, I was watching what he was doing. And when we closed, I took it home. I finished it at home. So I brought it to show him what I did today. When I'm done with school, and if there's no any job for me to do, I will base on this work to earn money for me and my family.
While urging the government to intervene in the manufacturing sector, especially by way of price regulation for raw materials, Calvin pointed out that the Lagos State Shoemakers Association should get funding support from the state government while following up to ensure job delivery.
We need machine, we need tools to help us. Most of the things we are using, they are manual. If we get what the Chinas are using, we will also do what China are doing. So we need tools, we need government to intervene in this. It's not that government are not trying or the people are not trying, but when it comes from the top, it gets to a point, it stops. It doesn't circulate. So because we go to a meeting and we sit down, we listen to them, we we are not too recognized. They only recognize us by coming to the meeting, paying the due and all that. But when it comes to benefiting from them, we don't get it. So I see it as no point going to the meeting. Several times we've made mention of, can't we sit down and talk to these people who are bringing these stuffs in? The Nora, the Soul, can we just regulate this price? If they say they want to sell this thing for 1,000 naira, can we all sit down and agree that we cannot buy this for more than 700 naira? Let the unity be amongst us. So if they see that nobody is coming to buy from the market, they will have no choice but to reduce the price. The follow-up is really not good. The follow-up is very, very bad, because if I am giving you 1,000 naira to give to somebody because the person needs to eat, I should be able to do a proper follow-up to know if that has gotten to you. If the government want to do it, what they should do is, this is what we are giving you. And there should be a team that will do a proper follow-up. The government can give me whatever it is that they want to give me for my business to grow. But they should be able to monitor whatever it is that they have given me to see how I'm utilizing those things.
On the other hand, Usman Imana wants manufacturers to prioritize areas of comparative advantage to achieve the required industrial transformation. He also wants government to find a way to subsidize cost of energy for manufacturers.
Nigerians would, by default, would not want Nigerian products. Nigerians will say anything coming from Nigeria is bad and all. But you see, if as a Nigerian you take time to go above and beyond to do something that is outstanding, the same Nigerians will rally around you. That's why you see that our artists, our athletes, when they excel globally, you see that they trend, because Nigerians will bully everybody on the internet because their own has won. So what that tells you is that it's not that Nigerians hate things Nigerian, but because they've seen a lot of negative things coming from this country. By default, they are geared, they are wired up that way. But the moment they see something that is outstanding, that is world class, Nigerians will rally around you and would even propel you above international brands. So the onus is on manufacturers to make sure that whatever you do, try and make things that are world class. Government has to find a way to, because power is very key in production. If we have a register, a proper register of manufacturers in Nigeria, and government finds a way to subsidize energy for them. That's one. Then two, if government can have a repository online where all the fees and fines that you need to pay as a manufacturer, you can go online and pay it online, so that different government agencies are not coming to harass you day by day. That would help. Then three, access to funds. If government can create a special agency, I know that there are some government agencies that are supposed to be supporting businesses. I've tried a couple of them and it did not work. Their conditions are stringent, and it doesn't reflect the reality of the small businesses, small manufacturers that we have. If there's an agency that sincerely would support businesses with funding at single digits, so that we can compete.
An economist, Mokhtar Mohammed, says lack of access to forex constitutes the biggest problem confronting the manufacturing sector.
FX is a big challenge, especially we are earning so much. I won't say we are not earning so much. We are earning so much in FX in terms of from our crude, but we are losing that in terms of subsidy payment. So for the past 6 months, NNPC have not remitted anything to the Federation account. So the challenge with FX is in the supply side. They don't have it. The FX is not available. That's the truth. Let's say I said the truth. No matter how CBN have tried to arrange it, FX is not available. And it's not going to be available anytime soon. Because if you look at 3 years ago, Nigeria in the diaspora drive FX into this economy. But after the COVID-19 pandemic, most of them were out of job for a very long time. So they've not been able to drive FX into the economy. The major source of FX is crude oil. And crude oil went as far as 100 and something dollars per barrel. Unfortunately, we are importing refined petroleum products. So what we gain in terms of crude oil sale, we lose it in terms of importation of refined petroleum products. And if you remove subsidy out of that, you see that we would have been able to have enough effects to supply to the manufacturing sector. But it will come with a cost again, because that means that inflation will actually go up. Cost of production will also go up for the manufacturers also. So, but again, when you look at that one, it's in terms of the normal, most manufacturers don't use normal PMS, they use gas. And gas is not even subsidized.
Managing Director of Taris Capital, Nnameko Biariri, believes the issue is that the country is import dependent and needs to go back to planting palm plantations. He says after decades of being the leader in oil palm production in the world, Nigeria is currently an importer of the product due to neglect of the sector.
As long as manufacturing concerns do not have reasons to be in business, because they cannot access forex to buy the critical raw materials to produce, people will be laid off. And those people that are laid off will always find a means of survival. They will go into crime. If you stimulate export, I can tell you, there are many things here that can be exported out of Nigeria that can give us nothing less than $400 billion income every year. When you have such, if you have every community planting 30 hectares of land, 654 communities will give you 18,000 hectares of new Tenera or Super G palm plantation. A hectare gives you 1.8 million naira from the fresh fruit bunch harvested annually, even without processing. You will have created 30 to 60 youth jobs in every community. We're talking about 60 times 650. Over 30,000 jobs from one area alone.
Mokhtar Mohammed, on his part, while preferring possible solutions to the problem, stated that managers of the nation's economy should be focused on creating capacity, expand the scope for value addition and collaboration between the government and the private sector.
I think the challenge is that manufacturers in Nigeria have not gotten enough support from government, because government is not really looking at the manufacturing sector. Because if government is looking at the manufacturing sector, you ask them how many government officials, how many government people patronize made in Nigerian goods. So they are not feeling the pain that the ordinary Nigerians are feeling. That's my personal opinion. I don't think government has done enough for the manufacturing sector. I was reading something about Kenya. You know, the new president of Kenya removed subsidy. And what people don't know that he removed subsidy only on petroleum and rather get subsidy for gas, because he said that most of the companies are using gas for production. So he doesn't want the cost of goods and services to go up, because he would rather pay subsidy in the area of production than pay subsidy in the area of luxury. So Nigeria will pay subsidy for luxury. We are not looking at the companies that are in this sector, like the manufacturing sector, are the ones that are supposed to benefit from subsidy, especially when you bring down the cost of gas. That is diesel. I'm talking about diesel. We bring down the cost of diesel. So it will now bring down the cost of production, because 90% of Nigerian manufacturers does not depend on power. I'm sure I'm talking about 98%. So they will have to buy diesel. So if subsidy was reduced in diesel, then you can begin to say cost of production will come down, then inflation will not be high. But the subsidy we are reducing is petroleum product. And again, we don't even know how much of this petroleum product we consume. So definitely what we are doing is that when you reduce that subsidy in petroleum product, you see that government officials are still driving 5 to 6 cars. So they are the one enjoying. So we should take a lead from what Kenya has done. Remove subsidy on PMS that has to do with transportation, but make sure that they are still paying subsidy on diesel that have to do with production. That is how our economy grows. An economy does not grow by consumption, it grows by production. How much are you able to produce?
Experts say if the sector succeeds, it will lead to massive employment, fight poverty, create wealth, enhance export, and expand sources of foreign exchange generation. The groans of the manufacturers are a warning of the long-term consequences of neglecting the sector. Government must act now to ensure that Nigeria's manufacturing sector has access to all it needs to keep industries open, jobs available, and commodities affordable.